Hello guys, welcome to this video. So in this video we will actually build out a React.js, Node.js, Express, Passport.js, Google login system. So Google OAuth2 login system, and we will be actually be storing the users details in MongoDB database. So currently you will see this is actually the database right here, and we actually have a user table which is currently empty. Nothing is present right here, and we also got a sessions table as well, which is actually storing the sessions details about the user. We will be storing users in the sessions. And let me show you the demo of the application. It will be running on localhost 3000. This is the React.js front end, and it is will be calling the backend of Express, which will be actually be interacting with the backend. So this is actually the backend stuff which is present in Node.js and Express, and this is actually the front end of the application which I coded inside the React.js. So if I just show you, there is a login with Google button right here. We have used Tailwind CSS for the UI of the application. If I click this button, I will be logged in successfully with showing the profile picture, display name, email address, and the logout button. If I just refresh now, there will be one entry added in the users table. You will see that this entry is successfully added with the Google ID, display name, email address, profile photograph. This is actually the full link of the profile photograph. This is email, this is display name, this is Google ID, and primary key is automatically been inserted. So you will see that. So also, if you close this browser here, if you close the tab and reopen it once again, it will automatically detect you are already logged in. So it will redirect you to the profile page. You will see that. If you also close the browser, again open it. If I again open it, it will again. So if you close the browser, then you just need to click login with Google. So if you just close the tab right here, again reopen it, then it will actually detect that you are logged in. So you can do it for any account if you're doing it for the very first time. So if you're doing it for the very first time, it will show you this consent screen where you need to select your Google account. You need to allow the permission, simply click continue, and now a second entry will be added. So if I check the database in the users table, there will be two entries out there if you see. So there is a second entry which is added automatically. So if you see the sessions table, there will be two indexes which will be there. So this is actually the thing. We also have a logout button. If you click logout, you will be redirected back to the home page. If you now close this, it will detect that you are logged out. So it will show you the login page. So you can now log in, log out. So this is a simple application we will be showing you. It's a full stack application. We will be showing the how to code the front end in React.js and the back end in Node.js and Express. And on top of that, we are actually using Passport.js, which is actually a open source library for authentication for various providers. It provides you specifically. We will talk about Google right here. It has various strategies available, about 500 plus authentication strategies. It's an open source library. So we will be using this Passport Google OAuth package for implementing the Google OAuth strategy for Passport.js. So we will be using this, and so all the source code is given guys in the description. You can directly purchase the full source code with full directory structure and documentation. So the link is given. You can go to procodestore.com. After you purchase it, you will be redirected to Google Drive where you can actually download the zip file. So the link is given in the description. You can directly purchase the full source code. So now let's get started guys by building this application. So I will be seeing you in the next section. So now to get started guys, we will start building this project. So I'm there inside my working directory. So I will simply open command line here. And now to create React.js project, we will actually be using this Vite development environment, which is actually a very good next generation front-end tooling system, and it is better than Create Next app. It takes less time in creating Next.js React.js project and installing modules. So I will use this. So there is a simple command out there in order to instantiate a new React.js project. So just npm create vite at the rate latest. So you'll use the latest version of Vite, and then you need to give the project name. So let me give here React OAuth2 login. This is the project name, and then you need to also specify the template. So we will be creating a React.js project, so specify the template dash dash template React. This is a command npm create Vite at the rate latest followed by the project name dash dash template React. So if you just enter it, it will actually create, it will say to you that install these create Vite package. So simply press Y, and now it will ask you which project you want to create. So I will simply select with the drop down React project. So it has created scaffold the project. I just need to cd into the project directory and then run the command npm I. So this will install all the packages of React. So this is really fast as compared to the official create React app. So I found this to be very, you can see it is completed. So we can now open this directory in the, this is actually a basic React.js project, and you can basically run this by using npm run dev. So this will start the development server, which is hosted on localhost 5173. You can just go to this and it will show you this home page of Vite. So you will see this is actually the demo app that they provide you. So now we can edit this, but first of all we need to install some modules, right? For the React.js front end we need Axios module to actually call the backend API to make API request, and then we also need the React router DOM. So our application will contain some routes, so that's why React router DOM we need to install, and Axios library as well. So simply install these two packages, and that's all that we need to do for the front end. Now we will create a new folder inside this. I will simply say this backend. So a backend folder will be created. So I will just instantiate a new package.json file by invoking the command npm init -y. So this will create the package.json file. So now we need to install the modules for the backend API. So this will be, first of all we need to install connect Mongo. So this is responsible, this package is responsible for connecting your application to MongoDB database. This is actually a driver. And then we have course module, which is responsible for accessing, for enabling the API to be used by different front ends, so cross origin resource sharing. So then we have our Express backend server, and then we also need to use Express session. So these are the two. Express is the backend server, Express session is, we will be storing the information inside Express session, and then Mongoose will be the actual ORM we will be using to actually interact with the MongoDB database to actually save the data or get the data from the database. So this is the library, and then we use the Passport library, Passport and Passport Google OAuth2. So Passport is the base library, and this is the actual strategy for implementing the Google OAuth2 authentication. So this is actually the strategy. So simply enter it. So this will install all these packages in the package.json file. So it will hardly take 5 to 10 seconds and it will install these packages. So now it is installed. If you just check right here in the package.json file in the backend folder, if you see all these packages are installed with the latest version. And now we can actually create our index.js file, the starting point of the application. So in the next section guys, we'll start coding the application. So now guys, first of all we will actually be building the backend server in Node.js Express, and then we will later on build the front end. So right here in the index.js file, first of all we just need to import all the packages that we installed right here. First is the actual Express package, the backend server we imported. Now we just need to make a simple Express app like this, and we'll start this app on 5000 port number. So we can simply say a message that app is listening on port 5000. So also we need to import all these other packages as well right at the top. So the Mongoose package, which will be responsible for communicating with the MongoDB database, the Passport package as well, and then we will be also be including this Google strategy, which will be coming from the Passport package. So Passport Google OAuth2, and it basically contains this dot strategy, and from this we will be instantiating this Google strategy. And also we need to include the session as well, which is actually a middleware of Express session we included installed. And also we also included connect Mongo. This is actually a Mongo store. And then lastly we allow the other front end to actually use this API, so that's why we'll use this CORS module, cross origin resource sharing. So first of all we need to implement this CORS origin, CORS configuration. So we need to allow the other front end. Let's suppose we are accessing this API from React.js front end or any other front end. So we just need to allow this API to be accessed. Without this CORS, you will get a cross origin error in the browser console. So you need to enable the CORS right here. So you can simply do this using this middleware app.use, and then you will pass this middleware like this, an option, origin option. So you will only be accepting request coming from this request, which is HTTP localhost 5173, and this is a React app URL, and credentials you need to set it to true. So this simply means that only accept request coming from this URL and credentials is to true. So we will only be accepting these URLs coming from this front end only. So this makes your API more secure. No third-party website can use your API. So this is actually meant by CORS, cross-region resource sharing. This is really important. And then we need to configure the MongoDB connection as well. So I'm using the MongoDB at last. You can see that MongoDB Compass. This is actually a GUI software which available for Windows for free. So I'm there inside my machine. So here you just need to create a database right here. So I will create a new database. Let's suppose React OAuth2 login, and I will you need to just create a basic collection name. So just to create the database. So now the database is created, which is React OAuth2 login. So I just need to provide this database name while we are connecting. So we'll say mongoose.connect. So we have this URL, which is MongoDB localhost, the port number, which is 27017. This is the default port number for MongoDB database, and React OAuth2 login. This is our database name. You can just cross check React OAuth2 login. So this is our database name, and here we need to pass some options right here. First option is use new URL parser to be true, and use unified topology to be true. So after we do this, if you run your application, just write node-born index.js. So the application will run on port number 5000. It will give you a message. So it is saying that option unified topology is not supported. So you can eliminate this option, remove this option with, I think, with the latest version of Express. So you can see that now the app is listening on port 5000 and the database is also being connected. So now we just need to specify the schema, what sort of information we will be storing in the table. So specify the schema. So right here we will say user schema. So just make U capital, user schema, and new mongoose, and in this mongoose module we have the function schema, and right here we need to provide an object here. So what sort of information we'll be storing? So we'll be storing Google ID, which will be of type string, and we will also be storing the display name, which will be the username of the user, logged in user, which will also be of type string, email address, which will also be of type string, and the profile picture, profile photo, which will also be of type string. This is a schema, and now we just need to create a table using the schema. So create a collection using the above schema. So now to do this, we will simply say const user mongoose. It contains a method called as model, and here we will specify the schema, collection, which is a table which will get created using the schema, which is user schema. That's all. So now a table will be created using 4 columns: Google ID, display name, email, and profile photo. And after you do this, we now need to configure the passport for the Google login. So here we need to include the middleware passport use, and we will be using a strategy that we imported, new Google strategy. And here we need to provide the client ID, and similarly we need to provide the client secret as well, client ID and client secret. And the third one is callback URL. So this will be /auth /google /callback. This is constant for Passport.js, so you should just use this callback URL only. So this is constant /auth /google /callback, and these two information, client ID and client secret, you will get from Google Cloud Console. So just go to Google Cloud Console and create an account right here. So I already have an account here, so I will simply go to the console and just go to API services, go to credentials, and just click on this button OAuth client ID and select your application type to be web application. And here you need to provide authorized JavaScript origins to the home page of the URL, which is localhost 5173. This is the home page. So here you are expecting our backend server is listening on localhost. It is starting on localhost 5000. So you will basically give the address of your backend server, not the front end. So localhost 5000. This will be the home page URL, and then the authorized redirect URI, you will simply paste the address, which is auth /google /callback /auth /google /callback. This is the same thing that we just written right here. If you see /auth /google /callback. So after you do this, you can simply click on create. It will give you your client ID and client secret. So this will be different for you, so don't copy my client ID and client secret. So I will simply paste it. So after we do this, it's very easy now. So just here put a comma, and async function will be there, and we will actually, after we do this, we will get our access token, refresh token, and the profile of the user, and a done variable. So this is a callback function right here. After you provide this information in this middleware, in this Google strategy, it returns you access token, refresh token, profile, and done. Just format this. So right here in this function, we will, in the try catch block, We will basically get the user, await, so user, and it contains all these methods. You can find by ID, find by all this. We will find the user by its Google ID. So Google ID is equal to profile.id. So here we will simply compare that if the user is found out, then we just need to return that user, null user. If the user is not there, in that case we will say user is equal to new user, and we will be just having these details, which is the Google ID is equal to profile.id, and then we have the display name property, which will be profile.displayName. Then we have the email address, which will be profile emails. It's an array, so we will get the first value, first email address, and the profile photo. Profile, again it's an array, so photos 0, and we will get the first photograph of the user. So in this code, guys, it is very simple. We are simply checking if the user is already present, then we are simply returning it. If the user is new, if the user is authenticated for the very first time, then we are inserting it to the database. We are instantiating, we are using this user model class. You can see this is a class here. We are creating a new object of this class and basically just inserting the Google ID, display name, email, and profile photo. And now to save this information to the database, we will use the await, the save method of Mongoose. So this will actually save this information, and then we will return the user, null user. That's all. So that's all that we need to do, and if any sort of error take place, we can return that error. So that's all that we need to do, guys, for the passport configuration. And one more thing, we also need to assign these lines: passport serialize user, user done. These functions are necessary. You need to write these functions in conjunction with the previous code, user.id, and also passport.deserialize user, async id done. So just copy paste this code, whatever code I'm writing right here. You will also get the code if you want to purchase it. Await, you will find the user by the ID, and then done null user. So this code is constant, guys. You just need to write this exact code that I'm writing right here. This is just a setup for passport. So you can see that, and after we do this, now we can actually configure the Express session. So we'll be basically applying this middleware. So this session that we imported early on, if you see at the top, we are importing this session from the Express session middleware. So now we just need to assign this middleware. So this is important because we need to just store the user inside the Google, in the browser of the user. So once you are logged in, the application will remember you whether you are logged in or not. So that's why this session is important. If you don't write this code, then every time if you log in again, if you close the window again, you need to log in once again. So that's why session is important. Secret key, you can assign any secret key. Resave value will be false, and save uninitialized to be false. These are all constants values. Store, we need to store the session value in Mongo store. Create, and it will actually create a Mongo URL where it will actually store all the session information. MongoDB localhost 270, and here you need to provide your database name. So whatever you give, React OAuth2 login. So just cross check this. You have given the same database name right here also. So I will just copy this value and paste it. So this is, it will also create a sessions table, and it will store the session information in that session table. And then lastly, we just need to apply these passport. We need to initialize this, call this function, and also passport session as well. These two functions, first of all, we are initializing the base passport library and then the session method as well. So that's all that we need to do, guys, and in the backend. And one more thing, we also need to configure all the routes for the Google login. So the very first route is when someone goes to /auth/Google. So we will be authenticating passport.authenticate Google, and here we need to provide what scopes that we will be referring to. So we will be providing the profile scope and the email scope like this, and then we will also be handling the callback URL auth/. So whenever user grant the permission, so this will hit the URL, and we will be authenticating it passport.authenticate Google. And also there is a second argument for the failure. If the authentication is failed, so what URL the user will go to. So this is actually the URL. Let me explain to you what is happening in this. So it is hitting this callback URL. So whenever you grant access to your Google account, so Google will try to redirect you to the React.js homepage. This is HTTP localhost 3000, not 5173, sorry. So here our React.js app will be residing. So whenever you are successfully authenticated, you will be redirected to the home page. If it's a failure, then we will redirect to like this. You can even have a 404 page as well if you are failed in authenticating as well. So we will be using the passport.authenticate method and providing here, this is Google provided like this. So one more method for the logout functionality. If you want to log out, we will write this method auth/logout. So request.logout. So it's a logout method available in Passport. If you want to log out, if any sort of error take place, we can simply so like this, and then lastly we will redirect the user back to the home page 5173. So this is actually the backend functionality, guys. It is complete right here. Now in the next section we will be writing the front end functionality in React.js. So I will see you in the next section. So now, guys, we will be writing the front end of the application, which is React. So in the last section we written the back end of the app. So just make a slight modification right here. You can see you will get this error, which is route.get requires a callback function. So in this line we just made a mistake right here, /auth/Google. So here you just need to remove this parentheses, and so this is, it will be closed right here, curly bracket. I think the correct version is, let me paste the correct code. So just make this slight modification. So now you will see no error is there. So your app backend server is listening on port 5000. So after we do this, we just need to go to the front end. So this is our app.tsx. So this is in TypeScript. If you see, you can even rename this to JavaScript as well, app.js. So I will simply remove everything from here and start from scratch. So RFCE, so it's a functional component. So we will be declaring a state variable here. So this will be for just keeping track of the user. The initial value will be use state, will use this hook. Initial value will be null. So here we will be using the use effect hook, which comes in React. So in use effect, it basically runs every time your component mounts. So it will only run for the very first time. We are providing this empty brackets right here. This simply means that this only runs for the very first time. So here we just need to get the user, and here we'll be using the Axios library. So it will be imported from Axios that we installed earlier on. It contains a get method, and here we will be just http localhost 5000, this is our backend API address, /API/user. So this request we haven't written in the backend API, so this simply returns the user. So here we need to provide with credentials to be true. So it will actually return a promise, and it will actually have the response here, and we can set the user based upon the authentication status, whether the user is logged in or not, response.data. So here we just need to make this request, which is /API/user. So this will simply return the status of the user, whether the user is logged in or whether the user is logged out. So this is very simple request. It will actually return in the form of JSON. If you just go to index.js, and right here at the bottom side, I can just explain you step by step this request. So just make this request app.get /API/user. So here we will simply say if request.is authenticated is comes out to be true, in that case the user is logged in. So we will return the user as a JSON request.user. In the else block, the user is not authenticated, so response.status 401 JSON, and we can basically pass a error message unauthorized. So this is a simple request. We are checking request is authenticated. If it turns out to be true, then we are returning the user, or if it is false, then we are returning 4001 error unauthorized. So right here you will get a response if you try to open this application in the browser. So just also open a new command line window and start your React.js application. So now it is running on localhost 5173. So you can see that, guys, it actually tells us that the user is unauthorized because no user is present right here, no user is logged in. So that's why it comes out to be 401 unauthorized. So the application is working. So it is doing its job, and now what we need to do based upon this, we just need to create some components. So right here, just create in the source directory, create a folder called as components, and create 3 components. First is the login button, the second one is the logout button, and the third one is the profile. These are JSX components right here, if you see, and we will just like this RFCE. So all these components have been initialized, and right here go to the public folder. We need to include Tailwind CSS for this. So by default, I think Tailwind is included. So right in the index.html, you can include the CDN right here, just after the title. Paste the CDN for Tailwind. So just Tailwind CSS. So this is the CDN for Tailwind. Simply copy the script tag after the title, paste it. Now you can use Tailwind. So right here, we will be using Tailwind class container mxauto empty8. So here we will simply say if the user is logged in, and in that case we just need to show the profile. So we have defined this profile component right here, export default profile. We need to show the profile component. So what I will do, I will import this component right here. So what I will do, just rename this to TSX. I think just so you can see that. So import login button and import logout button. So we have imported this, and now we can simply use these components right here. Profile. If the user is already logged in, we will use this and pass this as a prop, this user, to this component. And then we need to put a colon, and right here we want to show the login button if the user is not logged in. So here we need to pass this prop as a prop. Now we just need to receive this prop in this component. So if you just see, we can receive this as an argument user. So it is saying user is declared, but its value is never used. So that's all. The error will go away. You will see that. So now it's very easy, guys. We just need to define our components. So first I will go to the login button component. So here what we will do, if you just go to the application right now, just open localhost 5173. So it will actually show you this 5173. Sorry, it will show you the login button because the user is not logged in. And right here we will be having a login button in the center of the screen, justify center, item center, at screen. So we will have a button right here which will say login with Google, BG Blue 500. These are all Tailwind classes, P by 2, PX4, rounded. So just we need to make this in the center screen. I think plus justify center, item center. And also we need to attach a on click to it. On click. So when we click this, we just need to call this function which is handle login. Now we just need to define this function right here. Right here you can define this function. So when you click this button, you will be redirected to window location.href http localhost 5000 /auth /google. That's all. So if you just refresh now, click on this button, so you will be redirected to your account selecting screen, and if you select your click on continue, allow the permission, you will see you will be redirected to the home page, and here you will see profile. So we can actually display the details of the user by editing our profile.tsx file. So right here we can actually show the profile of the user. So again we will use the classes of Tailwind just to make it in the center. So these are all Tailwind classes that you see. So inside this we will have the image tag. So this will be user.profile photo. MX Auto MT4. You will see it is there. So then we will actually be having to show the display name and email address. So right in this we can display user.display name. User.email. So that's all, and we will also be importing the logout button component. So here we just need to go to logout button and just make the logout button as well, which is a very simple button which allows you to log out. So you can see that this is the logout button. Whenever we click it, we should call this function which is handle logout. So we'll basically be log out to http localhost 5000 slash auth slash logout. So if you want to log out, you can simply go to the home page, and now you can see the profile details are there. And if I show you the database, currently it is empty. So you will see two tables have been created, the session table and the users table. In the session, you will see the session information is stored about the cookie, whatever, and the user. So currently there is a single user in the table, in the MongoDB database table. So if I log in with a different user, let's suppose if I go to localhost 5173, you need to log in. First of all, if you're doing it for the very first time, you just need to grant permission. You will see all these information: profile picture, display name, email address, logout button. If I refresh the table, you will see two entries will be added. So two sessions will be created. So this is a system, guys, in Passport, React.js, Node.js, and Express, the full stack application. Thank you very much for watching this video. All the source code is given in the description. You can directly purchase it with full documentation and support. And I will be seeing you guys in the next video.